Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Chapter Tactics, where we talk about both tactics and strategies to help both new and veteran players alike. I am your host, Magikarp Usefly, and with me today we have the one, the only, Stephen Box from Vanguard Tactics.
How you doing? What an intro. Thank you very much, mate.
Yeah, of course, man. Absolute legend right here, Stephen Box. How about you just go ahead and introduce yourself for the people that don't know who you are? But if you have been keeping up with the competitive scene or watching content on 40K on YouTube, things like that, you're gonna know who this guy is. But for those that don't know, please give us a rundown.
Okay, so yeah, I'm Stephen Box from Vanguard Tactics. It's a YouTube channel where we really help people get the confidence to play the game of 40K. Whether you're completely a beginner at the game, we've got courses, and that's something which I really specialize in is the education, and that's something that we're really dedicated to at Vanguard Tactics, is just helping people get their miniatures on the tabletop. So whether you're, like you said, a complete beginner, or maybe you're wanting to just get onto the tournament scene, then we also have an academy as well. So that's really where we specialize in our education of the game.
Yeah, which is really, really interesting that you take on both new and veteran players, right, for your coaching and everything like that. What do you usually see more of? Do you usually see more of newer players? Do you see more of long-termed players, more veterans? What's the mix-up that you're getting?
Well, originally we had just the Vanguard Tactics Academy, which was kind of pitched towards the more, I suppose, semi-competitive or sort of semi-casual player, maybe been playing a while, maybe a year or so, maybe a little bit longer, who wants to get to the tournament scene to do. We don't really focus on win rates. I don't really want to help people, become a 5-0 player necessarily. It's more about, giving them the confidence to go there and actually have a really good time, meet some people, and when they actually get to the table, just lower their anxiety a little bit. So actually you can understand what you need to do, generate a game plan, understand what secondaries you need to pick and why, and just to actually enjoy the interaction you're having with your opponent rather than worrying about, I've never played against Gene Stealer Cult before. What on earth do they do? It's our goal to actually help you enjoy that experience, and ultimately you will do better. But that being said, now we've brought out a lot of beginner courses with our basic training series. We're actually seeing a lot more complete beginners into the game now, which is absolutely brilliant as well, and then who go on to do the academy. So it's fantastic. That's kind of where we really work. Yeah, so people are new or coming back into the hobby, or maybe just fed up with just not knowing how to improve, because that was something where I was at for a while, was, how do you actually improve at this crazy game? So, yeah.
Yeah, no, I definitely understand that. And with the huge uptick of 40K players as well, there's a lot of people out there that are looking for these more advanced tactics, more and it can be scary going to these large events, right? These 200-person majors and just have this feeling of being overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I think that's exactly what you've hit that on the head. Overwhelmed is certainly a feeling that when I asked a lot of the students how they feel about playing 40K when they initially start, overwhelmed is the word that they use a lot of, and that's something that I really try to hope to clear up, is a lot of the confusion and give them a little bit of clarity. And like you said, going to an event, one of the best things about what I've sort of tried to do at Vanguard Tactics is create a team. So, yeah.
And speaking of teams, that's what the main topic is for today, is diving into what it's like, owning a team, being part of this, a team, I guess circuit or organization, right? When it comes to 40K, and just seeing how what it's like to get started with it, how to join one, everything like that. And we're going to be talking about that in depth during this entire episode. But before we do that, this show is brought to you by frontlinegaming.org, where you can get amazing game mats for not just your 40K games, but almost any tabletop game out there. Purchase miniatures at a discount and join some of the largest 40K events in the industry. They also have the largest podcasting network in the business, with shows like Signals from the Frontline, Chapter Tactics, which you're listening to right now, Thursday show. There has recently just been a new episode of 40K Game Changers as well, so go check that out. On top of that, also full colored printed terrain is finally back in stock, so get your orders in. It comes in every single Monday. Go check that out. LSO is on sale for your tickets. BAO and Atlantic City Open, I believe. No, that just passed. Man,
No,
I can't.
I think that's coming up.
Yeah, is it? It is.
Yeah.
It totally is. Yep. Are you going to be joining it, or what's the next event that you're going to?
So I'm going to the BAO. The BAO.
Okay.
As I've got another workshop there as well that we're doing. Like we did at the LVO, I'm doing one at the BAO. And then if that one goes well, maybe I can get a flight home and then get on another flight back a week later and come to the Atlantic City Open. So I think there's like 2 weeks in between.
Man, you are traveling everywhere. You're going to BAO. Then that means I'll see you again at BAO. That'll be great.
Mate, sick.
Yeah. So let's start talking about this more. So how about you describe like your team and your organization with Vanguard Tactics? Like what is that like? Can you give us more information about your team's organization?
Yeah, so I'll start from, I suppose, where it all began for me. And I was just in a group of friends, maybe 6 of us, playing. We were all into our fitness at the time. It's actually how we all met, was through fitness. They actually were kind of associated with my coaching business that I had at the time. And we used to meet up, just start playing 40K. And I was the first one that ventured into going to tournaments. And like you said, I didn't know anyone. You kind of sat there like in the corner of the room, a little bit like you were, back at
like
school.
A little wallflower, like just like standing against the wall, like, oh, hi, just lots of anxiety, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
You don't know anyone. Everybody seems to know each other, and it can be quite intimidating. So anyway, I managed to encourage my mate Jack to come with me. We did like a doubles event, and that went really, really well. He enjoyed it, and then slowly but surely, we managed to pull the other 6 people into this team. And basically, that, I suppose, we weren't really an official team at that stage. It was just a case of 6 people going to an event together, where we'd go out for food after, we'd share accommodation in hotels to make it cheaper. We'd share the travel again to reduce costs. But then when we got there, it's just that time to share your wins, I suppose. It's a time to revel in what happens or could have gone better or badly.
Yeah. Or if you lost, like you have somebody to just like pat you on the shoulder and be like, it's all good, man. You'll get the next one. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, that was it. I can remember Jack coming over to me one time halfway through the game. He was on the way to the bar, and I was like, "How's it going, Jack?" He's like, "I deployed like a chump and got beat like a chump." I was like, "Okay, cool, don't worry." So that always stick with me. But look, it's in that's exactly it. It's about this sort of this camaraderie, as it were. And then obviously when I created Vanguard Tactics, really now it's about having a team in which originally I wanted the team of Vanguard Tactics to be a showcase of how well the academy does. So if you want to play for Vanguard Tactics in particular, I wanted it so that you had to be a student of the course or a graduate of the course. So now everybody that plays for Vanguard Tactics is either a coach, a student, or a graduate. So it keeps it within our sort of educational framework of players. And that's kind of the way that I'm managing my team, as it were, or who can play for the team of Vanguard Tactics. But saying that, it's a great way for those people who are completely maybe, could be on the other side of the world, but they could travel somewhere, they could meet up at the LVO, all of a sudden they see another Vanguard Tactics shirt and they're like, oh, he must
friend. Yeah,
we play for the same team, this is awesome. And obviously we've got like a Discord, we do like online in-house GTs now on TTS, which is awesome. So it's about sort of cultivating a community of like-minded people where you might want to travel with somebody because it, like we said, it makes it cheaper, or you just want to be able to go to the pub after and grab some food and have somebody to chat to about how you got on. And it's that point, like, I think 40k is the conversation starter, but what it really does is it allows us to share something in common for us actually to then chat about other things in life which are also important, whether it's families, relationships, work, business. And it's brilliant like that, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's actually really cool because like it's exactly what you said. Where you start off on like this team. You like Warhammer is kind of like your gateway drug into a relationship, right?
Yeah.
Just becoming friends with each other. That's like your common baseline, and then after that, you guys can start talking about different shows that you guys watch, your interests and other hobbies, like everything like that. And it's just like this huge camaraderie, and that's kind of the point of creating a team or like joining a team in Warhammer, right? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It really
Mhm.
is. And there are, I think, this is even just playing in the singles event. That's kind of what
Mhm.
we're talking about. But you take that one step forward and you actually play in a team event,
Oh, I love team
and
events.
it is the best. It is the best way to play 40k, without a
Mhm.
shadow of a doubt. The best way to play the game. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely. Um, so have you been going to like these team events with your organization? And how has that been going for you guys?
Yeah. So I played. We had like a back in October. We had a huge team event here in the UK where we had it's called the Battle of Britain. I
Mhm.
was on one of the England teams. We had a few people pull out of my team, of my England selection team. So they said to me, "Steve, we're gonna need you to captain." I was like, "Okay, cool." And then they were like, "Steve, do you
No
know anyone?"
pressure. No pressure. Just
Yeah,
you be captain.
yeah. I mean, I had captain experience before, luckily. Back in 2019, I was the United Nations captain at the WTC, the World Team Championship. So I have
Mhm.
team captain experience. But then they were like, "Oh, do you know anyone?" I was like, "Yeah, I know a few players." So managed to became basically my England team became the Vanguard Tactics team over the course of literally 2 weeks. We went from having just me to then three of us on the team. But again, it's great being able to pull in people that you know how they play, you know
Mhm.
what factions they play, you know what armies they know well. So actually, when it comes to the pairings matrix of understanding, what armies you want to pair into each other, because that's a thing that you do in teams, is you pair into each other at the start. So
Mhm.
if my team was playing your team, what we would do is have, let's say if it's a five player event, we'd have five armies, because when you play in a team, everybody has to take a different book. You can't
Yep.
share a book, you can't take
Mhm.
two of the same. And that's really why it's the best way to play. So I would maybe put in my Harlequins as an attacker. You would maybe put in your Tau in your. I'd put my Harlequins as a defender. You'd put your Tau and your Custodes as the attacker, and then I would pick which one I want to play against. And we would do that until we've got five pairings, and then we'd go and play our games, right? So I think knowing your team inside out really, really helps that situation, because we had one of our coaches, Ben. He's a fantastic player, but unfortunately, his army that he normally plays was allocated to somebody else, and he was just added
Mhm.
in at the time. And AdMech were a thing, so someone unfortunately had to jump on AdMech, and he was like, "Sure, I've never played
Yeah.
the army before, but I'll give it a try." He's an Eldar specialist, so although he didn't know his army, I just made sure he paired into a pointy-eared uh, army.
Yeah, so then he understood the matchup just
Yeah,
a little bit.
so
Yeah. Yeah.
So as long as he was playing against Eldar, I knew he'd be fine.
Yeah.
And he ended up doing really, really well. And we did fantastic. I think we come second. In with one of the other England teams. All three England teams won basically all their games aside from one, which then lost to another England team.
Mhm.
So it's kind of like we all shared first place, which was great. And then recently we went to another event and had the most incredible game against Team Netherlands in the final round, which we just lost. But what an awesome game that was! But yeah, again, some fantastic games were played,
Yeah.
and just just a really good experience all round, because I think what it does is it gets rid of that. Obviously the balance update has come out, which is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. I think it's
Oh, dude,
great.
same. I love it too. Yep.
And Games Workshop, massive credit to them, because them being committed to these balance updates, the guys there, the team, work so hard. I see, I get the messages, "Oh, Steve, what do you think of this?" Or, what if we do that? Or can we have a quick call? And this happens all the time, not just in a 9 to 5. The
Yeah.
rules team works so hard to get this right. And, it's obviously fantastic. But when there is something that's a little bit of an outlier for a while, then it means when you are in a team, cool, you've got the Crusher Stampede, or you've got the,
Yeah. Yeah, like
Harlequin
the
Void,
Harlequins, you have the towel, you have,
the
all that
Custodes.
stuff. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yes, so even if you're in a really like, oh great, I've just drew Tau or whatever, at least this. You've got a Tau on your team as well, so you just might be taking one for the team and being thrown under the bus, but at least you've got one on your team, and it's just your job to score as many points as you can. It's not about winning; it's about scoring points. It really
Mm-hmm.
forces you to be the best player you can be, because you're playing for your team. You know, you got to wear your heart on your sleeve, and you play for every single point. And I think that's a fantastic attitude to have in the game.
Oh yeah, dude, definitely. I absolutely love team tournaments. They're so cool. I just wish that like the logistics of it was easier to access for like, game stores and everything like that.
Yeah,
But man, dude, like that if it's so much fun playing in team tournaments and everything like that. So, what would you say are the benefits of joining a team? Not just like a not like a team event, but what are the benefits of creating or joining a Warhammer 40K team?
I suppose if you create a team, for me it was about having a team which has a philosophy, and that's something that we really sort of stand behind. We want to, or Vanguard Tactics itself wants to change the way people perceive competitive. Okay, I've always used the word competitive, and when I first came onto the scene, I got a lot of slack for it. Oh, competitive players just whack, or they just try too hard,
Mm-hmm.
or whatever it is, just to win. And you're like, well, no, I want to change that mindset. I want people to love playing against me and my team. I want people to walk away and go, oh my God, I just had the best game of 40K. It was awesome. It was really high level, but oh, what a great sportsman that player was. So we use the hashtag, play 40K the right way, which is exactly that. We want to make sure
Yeah.
that we're, you know, being a great sport at the table, playing fair, ensuring nobody has an advantage that they shouldn't have, and just ultimately having a game of the battle of the minds. So for me, creating a team was about creating a philosophy behind having a group of players really trying to change this competitive sort of bad name I think some players have got, and I think we're
Yeah.
changing that. I think we really are.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot more sportsmanship like games in tournaments now. Even like on my side with like the group that I play with, when we were at LVO, I don't think that anybody had like a bad time, right? Like,
Yeah,
yeah, sure, they lost and everything like that, but they had a good time against almost
yeah.
anybody that they fought against, and that's awesome. That's really cool. So you're saying that the benefit for you for joining a team is just having like the same philosophy as everybody else kind of on
Else
that
on
team, right?
Yeah, in us again, it brings you together, and obviously we've gone over the fact that having a team is just someone. We aside from the basics, which is I suppose just having some friends around you, so you don't feel like you're on your
Yeah.
own when you're there. It's just so simple things. Oh, do you mind watching my army while I go to the bathroom? It's actually really
Yeah.
helpful.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. So then you're not bringing like your entire
Yeah,
2,000 points of orcs with your diorama into the bathroom stall with you. Yeah.
yeah, or it's like we said, sharing accommodation costs,
Mhm.
sharing hotels, or travel arrangements. that that's all great, but then it gives you this sense of creativity as well. So you can go and get team shirts made. You can get special dice objective markers with your team. You can see how well your team does. Obviously on the ITC rankings, when you go on frontlinegaming.com and you check out the ITC, I know myself and the other guys of my team look at how we're doing. We're seeing where we can improve. And it becomes less about individual victory and more about a collective success. And I think that's really great. To keep a much more positive outlook on the game. Your faction might not be doing very well at the moment in terms of the meta, but your team can be still doing well because your team knows that your time will come, and when it does, you're in the trenches working hard with your whatever. Let's say take Astra Militarum. You're in the trenches. But your day will come, and you best be ready for the team because the team's going to need you. Okay. Mm-hmm. And I think it's just a really great positive way to have, or positive experience to be part of.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that when you take that pressure off of other players, right? When you're playing by yourself, it can feel very sad and unmotivating when you go like 0-5 or anything like that, right? Or 1-5, whatever you're not enjoying. But when you have this team, it kind of makes you feel better about it if your other teammates are doing better, right? And they're still performing well. It still has that camaraderie because you're like, yeah, man, good job. Like I'm really happy for you. And it kind of takes that pressure off of yourself and kind of like spreads it across through everybody so that not everybody feels bad, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And you could be a team of two. Doesn't mean you have to be some sort of massive organization or YouTube channel or whatever. No, team of two. That's where me and Jack started, and then we became a team of 3, and then a 4, and then a 5, and now we're like a team of 400 or whatever it is. So, you've got to start somewhere, and you never know what it might become. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I would definitely, if you're not in a team, either look to join one if there's a team that you really resonate with their philosophies, or obviously if you're just in your local gaming group and you want to become a team, and basically, do you like the people that, do you like these people that you want to go to events with? If you do, create a team, go together. It sort of brings it more solidarity, I think, to the team as well.
Definitely. What for you, what was it like building your team and like making your team? And do you suggest other people to create a team? Like, is there like roadblocks that you hit, stuff like that when you were starting out?
I think the first one was having a commitment. I think that's one of the things that you might struggle with, is you need to really commit to things. So in the early days of having a team, it was a case of ensuring that, like we said, people had those philosophies that the team shared. So when we sort of got out of our like little team of 6 and we created our academy and a bit more of an official team, as it were, one of the things that I did in order to help this was I wrote a code of conduct and I made them sign it. So if you want to play for Vanguard Tactics, you need to sign my player's code of conduct, which is probably, obviously, you've got like, now we have the ITC code of conduct for when you're actually at an event. I make my players sign something before they even join the team. And it's a little bit more extensive than the ITC, I would say, in terms of some other elements in there that we kind of want to add to that. Like, for example, be a good sport at the table, ensure that your miniatures are painted to the best possible ability of yours. And again, just some of our core philosophies that we have. So again, it's not that we're not going to swear at the tabletop at our opponent. You're going to be polite, friendly, welcoming other new people into the hobby. Ensure that there's no sort of prejudice towards anybody that's in our community as well. So again, I wanted to make sure that people sign that, because it sort of really brings them into what we're all about. Because otherwise, this could be a problem that you do have is, let's say there's somebody on your team that is maybe giving your team a bad name. That can happen. That was a worry, certainly a worry of.
Yeah.
It was definitely a worry of mine. So I've got the code of conduct, I've got their signature, and if they, put a foot out of line, I can say, look, I'm really sorry, but we don't want you playing for Vanguard Tactics anymore. You don't share our same core philosophies that you originally did when you signed that paperwork. Something must have changed. But I tell you what we'll do. I'll try and help you turn that around, so you can come back onto the team in the future if that's something you're prepared to do. And I think the first thing is admitting and owning up to, yeah, do you know what? I've changed. I'm going through a bad stage in my life at the moment, or whatever it might be. You know, how do I help that individual turn that around?
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't want to just say goodbye to people because they put a foot wrong. I want to make sure we can work with those individuals and help them back onto a path of success, which is brilliant, isn't it? Really.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, because
that
you're
could
you're
be,
because you're gaining like this relationship and this connection with these people, right? You don't want to just lose them. You're becoming friends with these people, and you don't just want to, it feels bad to like lose a friend. So, being able to uplift each other and say, hey, we need to hold ourselves to a higher standard here. But we still like you as a friend. So, once you get like some stuff together, like don't worry about it, come back over and we'll talk it out and, stuff like that. Cause,
yeah.
yeah, that's cool. I like that. That's really, really nice. Do you guys do things like, sharing armies and stuff like that? Like, yeah, do you guys do
Yeah.
that a lot? Okay.
So yeah, I think it's one of those. It might be a case of, oh, do you know what? It's, for example, when the last chapter of Proof came out, and all of a
Mhm.
sudden you needed 6 models to do an action.
Yeah. Yeah.
It might be like, oh, has anybody got 6? I don't know, Vespid or
Hmm.
Warp Spiders or Swooping Hawks or something. And then I might be like, oh, I'll see what I've got kicking around in the cupboard, and I'll be like, I've got an unbuilt box of this. I'll just send you that.
Yeah.
Or maybe I've already got those models painted to a good standard, which we can put on the tabletop, ensuring that the basing's the same. So yeah, we do that. For example, Jack recently. He's been a fantastic friend of mine. As a bit of a thank you for his friendship, I painted a Riptide for him in his new Tau commander that he wanted. So I sort of painted that up for him to make
Well,
it
that's
look awesome.
nice. That's nice of
Yeah,
you. Yeah.
and I actually got a lot of satisfaction of seeing him using that on the tabletop. So yeah, we do that as well. And obviously, I've got a huge studios. The studio now has a large arrangement of armies, so it just means the team can go, do you know what, Steve, can I borrow the sort of AdMech or whatever? And I'm like, sure, borrow the AdMech for Jake. This is something Jake, who I do my streams with, he wants to give AdMech a bit of a try. So before he goes out and buys an army, he can give the AdMech a try at least, see if he likes it, see if it's
Yeah.
his play style before he drops X amount of hundreds on an army. So
Hmm.
actually having a team means he can, borrow an army, get used to it in training, as it were, before he starts taking to a tournaments. He can ask somebody on the team that also plays that army for advice and help with the lists. Our team chat we've got for our, I suppose, elite level players and coaches, constantly lists flying in there. I mean, yesterday with a balance update came out, you should see the amount of lists that were being put in there. I couldn't even
Yeah.
keep up. So again, it's a great way of just pooling resources as well, isn't it? Whether it's armies or knowledge.
Yeah, and I think that that's really, really cool because what's it called? During SoCal Open, I had the pleasure of talking to Logan, who was the person that won that event. And at that event, because he's part of XPZ, um, everybody that was in XPZ like were basically trying to figure out this list, right? They were trying to be like they were like, this is the list that we should run. This is the winning list, and they would talk to each other all the time of like trying to make this a thing. And they kind of like pulled resources from like all their player base in order to make this one list piloted by this one guy in order to perform at this event, right? And you kind of get that when you join discords and stuff like for your faction and things like that, but when you have your own team and you have like this chamber of people that are like-minded and are just like, yeah, let's try to figure out something good, you get a lot of value out of that compared to just like trying to think of it on your own.
Yeah, do you know what? Funny story. Logan actually, he was one of the OGs, one of the original and first ever Vanguard
Mhm.
Tactics students.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
and
that's cool.
Yes, and then I brought him on as a coach. He became a coach for I think about 18 months, maybe even 2 years. And then obviously he's doing a fantastic job in his local community now, where they're setting up a really, really cool thing. I spoke to him and his friends and his team about in their local area. They are trying to encourage people to come in, play the game, in sharing a lot of the same, Vanguard Tactics values. So, and Logan is an exceptional player and a great sport. So, yeah, when you said his name, I brought a big smile to my face. He's a very good
Yeah.
friend of mine. Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool that the philosophies that you had when he joined, he carried that on to another team, and then that team, like, they're all a blast to play against.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so cool.
In the fact that me and Logan share the same team. When I'm thousands of miles away, but when I travel to LVO or SoCal or BAO, there's people I already know, regardless of the YouTube thing. But there's people I already know because we're on the same team, and that is amazing. Yeah, it really is.
Definitely, it definitely is. So how about you let us know what how do you go about recruiting somebody onto your team? Is it just like anybody can join, or like how does it work?
Yeah, so I think officially, I mean, this is actually something I would love the ITC to change if I could wish list. But technically, you can put your name down as any team, right? So
Yeah.
when you submit your team name, you obviously can just put your team name in. So literally going to your next event, if you don't have a team, you could just create one straight away. It could be I don't know. What would you call our? If you and me were going to do a team, what would we call it?
Sat. Steven and Matt. So just combine those names together. Sat. The Sat team. I don't know.
The SAT team. Yeah. I love it. Okay.
Yeah.
So next event, we just where it says enter your team name, we put in Team SAT. Okay. We've got a team. It's official. It's happening. It's like we're on Facebook, and it's become official now. So Team SAT. I love it. So that's your team. You've just created one.
Yeah.
And as you book out recruiting someone, well, maybe I'm at an event or at my local club, and I'm like, oh, your name's Steve or Simon. Do you want to? You can play for Team SAT because your name begins with an S, and you might meet someone called Michael or Mitchell or Michelle, and we can recruit them.
Or Pat or Pat. Just anybody that ends with a T, like Pat. I don't know. Yeah.
That's fine. Yeah. Cool. Love that. So yeah, we can do anything along those lines, right? So we just share our core philosophies, and you can just say, hey, do you want to join this team? We're really cool. And just next time you play, submit it into BCP when you submit your thing. That's how you literally do it. But if I could change it for the ITC, I'd love it so there was like a register or something, but obviously that's a lot of admin, and I can see why that doesn't happen at the moment. But I just think that would really make it official that you're in the team. So what I like to have especially when I bring on a new coach for Vanguard Tactics, I do like a bio about them. We put their video in our academy. We put like a little headshot in there. We make sure they've got the kit, they've got the dice, they've got the objective markers. If they come to an event like the BAO and they come to a workshop, they get a tray with a cool insert of Vanguard Tactics. So you've got to have all the stash as well, I think, because that's what that's the best thing about joining a team is a stash. I remember when I used to play volleyball for a different team, it was all about the stash. What stash do I get when I join this team? So that was you got to have good stash.
Yeah. What's the swag that you're getting, right? Like, what does the jersey look like? That the jersey actually has a lot of power, right? Like, if your jersey doesn't look very good, it's like, would people want to wear that? And like, that's like that's actually something that you really need to think about when you're creating one of these teams. Is what is your jersey looking like? What's your logo looking like? All that stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Even if you don't know what you're doing, at least look like you do, right? So
Yeah,
all the gear, no idea. That's my philosophy. Yeah, there we go.
It's just fake it till you make it, right? Like you gotta just hit the ground running.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely, mate. Yeah, just got that self-belief, visualize it and it will happen.
Yeah, exactly. So how do you guys go about, like, do you guys ever do anything where you go out of your way to find somebody to try to recruit them onto your team or anything like that?
Um, well, not too much because obviously I want to keep it still within our educational framework. So I'll give you an example. This year, we had at the LVO actually, the LVO. Ben, one of my coaches, Ben Jones, was playing game four, and he's like, oh, playing a guy called Matt Laura next. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, cool, best of luck and everything. And anyway, me and Ben hadn't heard of Matt before. Um, Ben literally finished that game. He come over to me and he said, "Steve, I lost my game." I was like, "Oh, mate, I'm sorry to hear that." He said, "Yeah, it's really close, but Steve, you need to speak to Matt. He's an exceptional player, great sport, really knows the game, really nice guy." So I messaged him. I think game five. I was like, "Hey, Matt, just want to reach out and say." Ben loved his game against you. Best of luck for your next game. You called have a chat later. And anyway, he goes on to come second at the LVO, and but the seed had already been planted for me and Ben. We were talking about bringing him on as a coach if that was something he'd be interested in doing.
Mm-hmm.
And when I asked him, "Do you want to join Vanguard Tactics as a coach?" Because I think the way that he comes across is fantastic as well, and just his mannerisms. He was like, "I'd love to." And it's actually, he said to me, the reason why I'm at the LVO is because I watched your LVO vlog when you went, and it made me want to come. And obviously, he did exceptional at that event. So yeah, I kind of recruited him to become a coach and an educator for my player base, and also represent the team in the right way. So that was one thing. And then I've had a couple of other people say, "Oh, Steve, do you think I could play for Vanguard Tactics?" Or I'm looking to, play for like a serious team where you guys go to all the events and stuff. And I said, cool. I have a chat. I've sort of kind of vet them, sort of fill them out. I look at I suppose their results as well to see if they are regularly attending, like they're saying they are. And I don't care even if they don't even win a game. People say to me, "Oh, Steve, I don't put my team name down as Vanguard Tactics because I don't want to, make you look bad or something." I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't care. It's not about winning. I don't care if you lose every game. I just want to see you going to tournaments, having a great time. That's it. So put your team name down. Let's have some fun with it. And obviously ensuring that they've got a great reputation and they sign the code of conduct. Then I'll bring them into the fold of either becoming a coach, a faction coach maybe, or we've got one coach, Nick Keeve is a great guy. Does loads of tournament prep stuff with our students. We've got Dom who came on this year. He's a real Drakari specialist. So yeah, again, it's having these people that are real specialists in their area that are unique to the coaching team, and then obviously the rest of the team then is made up of all the students, which is awesome to see them going to events with the swag and putting the
Mm-hmm.
results in for the team. It's brilliant.
Yeah, it's like they grow up so fast, man. They just grow
It,
up so fast.
like Logan, like Logan, he's
Yeah.
he's come through, he's flown the nest, he's left, and I'm just proud of that guy. It's awesome. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Dude, I absolutely love that story about Matt Laura, because when I was at LVO, I was looking at his background and everything and all the stuff that he's played. Uh, Amazing player.
yeah,
He barely played any GTs or anything like that before he got there, and just got second place. And like, I loved like his Taylor Swift objective markers and his shirt and everything like that. Like that guy is an absolute jewel. So I'm really
yeah.
happy that that you two are good friends now. So how about you give us like an insight on how you like, I guess, handle your team and run us through what it's like going through a meeting with your team before an event.
Yeah, so we've got a Discord, a huge Discord actually, but then we've also got like a team chat for our coaches. So it just helps us keep in a much faster, I suppose, communication with each other. So it would be a case of we look at when list submission is in for a particular event that we're all going to. Once we know list submissions, we know our deadline of if we need to get any practice games in before then, we'll look through the event pack to ensure that we're not getting caught out by anything. We understand how terrain's going to work. Is it going to be player placed? Is it going to be fixed? What's obscuring? What's not? You name it. We look at the missions that are going to be played, and then what we start to do is we create a bit of a SWOT analysis. This is something that we teach on the academy as well. Is
Oh my gosh, you guys do SWOT analysis?
Yeah.
Oh, I love SWOT. Like I love doing them. I'm sorry. I just
Yeah,
it just made me giggle inside. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, something that actually we teach on the academy under like when you write your list is how to do a SWOT analysis for it. So once we know that, list submission will be in, and we'll then start looking through the lists. I mean, one of my players, Dom's, just messaged me his Drakari list, not his Drakari, his Harlequins list, sorry, as he wants to give that a bit of a try. So I need to go and do all this now. Is look at the event that he's playing in. Maybe look at the meta that he's in as well. What other players might be going? What factions do they typically take? Obviously, the balance update's really just thrown everything out of whack, as it were, which is great. It's all the armies can be thrown up. All players are going to be shifting to different armies now, which is awesome as well. But yeah, if there is a typical trend in the meta, how do we create an army list that has a greater chance at defeating that meta army if it faces it, but still having enough tools in the toolbox to play against all the other factions out there as well? So how do we tailor for the meta, but how do we maintain a balance for the rest of the I suppose, environment that you might find yourself in as well?
Yeah, like creating just an all-rounder list that can work both against Tau and then also, I don't know, like Dark Angels or something like that, or Guard. Yeah.
Yeah, all of a sudden your opponent puts 300 conscripts on the table, and although it might not be the meta list, you're like, oh, well, I've just got las cannons or dark lances. How am I going to kill this army?
Where's my blast? Where's all my stuff? Oh no, it's ruined.
Yeah, I mean, you could have exactly the best list going, but you could play against a real curveball list like that round one from some guy that's never been to an event before, and he's brought his 300 conscripts and he's absolutely smashed you, and fair play to him, because he's brought a real skew list of 300 conscripts. But so anyway, what we'll do is we'll look at list submission, and then obviously it'll be a case of ensuring that their list is legal and in on time. That's the first thing, and then just making sure we can support them as best as we can. So when they get their first round pairing, help them identify any gotcha moments in their opponent's army, talk about the secondaries that they might pick against, give them some options when they get there, so actually they understand, because not everybody puts down on their army list, how many points it gives up for assassinate or bring it down or no prisoners. So we can help them, work that out. So then they can just giving them the tools really to, I suppose, make the best decisions that they can. And then normally it falls on me to organize hotels, travel arrangements. So now I've sort of got a bit tired of doing that. So every event we go to, I create a new WhatsApp chat for just the people going to that event. I'm like, right, who's going to be social secretary? It's their job to book the tables at the restaurants where we're going to go, and get all that organized. And then one person can do hotels, one person can do travel arrangements, and then we'll have a message chat there of who needs what models, whatever they need, books to be brought for them. So yeah, and then that's kind of how I manage it. I thought all in the run up before, but handling it really is so simple. I mean, because I've got that initial code of conduct. I haven't had an issue with anybody playing for Vanguard Tactics so far in which, I've had to drop from the team or whatever, because people, I think that really, really helped, is having that original signature to say, hey, I'm going to play 40k the right way.
Yeah, and that's actually very interesting. So on the managerial side, how is it like keeping up with trying to schedule everybody's like hotels? I know that you started branching out and giving and separating that job for other people. What was there like a hurdle that you had to like go over in order to get to that spot?
Yeah, I think. The other one is who wants to go to an event in, here in the UK, event tickets were just selling out straight away because of lockdown. So I gave people hard deadlines. If you don't tell me by this date, this is when I'm going to book my tickets. So if you don't tell me that you're in, then you're not coming, basically. in the hotel group, or
Yeah.
whatever it is. So get your, and you just got to just give people you got to put them, you got to give them a bit of deadline. And that really helps you actually manage things. If you're
Hmm.
doing it for them, you got to expect a little bit back. And I think one of those things is commitment. So yeah, if you commit to coming to this event, you'll pay me back for the hotel and you'll pay for your ticket, And if you don't, then do you know what? Next time I probably won't buy your hotel or ticket, if you're going to
Yeah.
leave me in the lurk. Yeah.
I actually I really like that you have this chat where people can talk about where people can talk to you guys on the event that they're going to. I think that that's really cool. You don't really get that a lot, if you're just playing by yourself, but having this group of friends that you can go to when you're at an event, pop open Discord or whatever and just be like, hey,
Yeah.
what's a good thing for this matchup? And you have like these faction, like pros, like people that know how to play these factions, like these veterans, and that they can all join in and help out. Are you guys like just on Discord, just like waiting to see results and stuff and like trying to check in with the person all the time?
So yeah, so it's more, I think when it comes to, like, this is one of the things Nick does every week. He does a live lesson where he'll go live in Discord, and if people know they've got a tournament coming up, they might be like, oh, there's a few lists I'm worried about. So they'll scroll through BCP and they'll be like, oh, there's maybe a custo, there's a Tau list, oh, and there's this crazy list I've never even seen before. What does it do? And then Nick will just go through, I suppose, some of those thought processes. So it's not maybe necessarily for the wider team, like all the students that we have, because that'd be a lot of work if we were trying to help
Yeah.
people with each of their secondaries.
Yeah.
But when we're in a team event, more so, it gets a little bit in our WhatsApp chat. Okay, what have you got coming up? And I think when you're actually in a team event itself, that's really when you can get into this good nitty gritty stuff. When it's lots of people at singles, obviously we've got a Discord, and people will be like, oh, hey, they might be on their lunch break. I'm playing against Nids next game, any advice? And we've got loads of, like you said, faction experts that might just pop in and say, oh, here's some ideas. Don't get caught out by that. That's probably a trap if you take that secondary, because they've got Necrons and their characters can stand back up with a stratagem, for example.
Hmm.
So it's more about helping them make the best decisions they can rather than spoon feeding people. I'll never tell people what secondaries to take, because again, it's for them to decide, but I can only give them the tools and the knowledge so that then they can make decisions for themselves, and that way they're empowered rather than just relying upon you, because I do want people to do well and learn and think critically, analyze their decisions, understand where they went wrong, and ultimately become better generals at the table. But that comes through empowerment, not spoon feeding. I think and
Yeah.
that's the difference between teaching and yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. You're basically just leading a horse to the water, and it's up to the horse to drink the water, right? That's
Yeah,
basically what you're trying to do. Okay.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So, we're nearing the end of this episode, but I do want to pick your brain a little bit about this topic. For people aspiring to become a top table player or to get to that top table, and get those showings, what do you suggest that they do? Do you suggest that they join a team and start looking at it that way? Do you suggest like what would be your thought process going into that?
Yeah, so if you're looking to improve, I think the first thing is joining a team's certainly going to help, because you are, like the people you surround yourself with. Okay, if you surround yourself with positive, good players, guess what? You're going to become a positive, good player. If you surround yourself with negative people, you're also going to become negative. It's infectious. So do surround yourself with like-minded, positive people that strive for the same goals. I think that's important. I think the other thing to mention about becoming a top player is we've currently seen a lot of people just meta chasing, jumping from one army to the next, and feeling like they have to do that. And I would urge you, do not do that. Okay, it's not going to help you in any way become a better player. all it's going to do is hurt your wallet. That's all it's going to do. It's going to help you become very salty about the game by meta chasing and feeling like you have to keep up with a meta. If you want to become a great player, a great top player, which has respect from your peers, your opponents, number one, be a great sport. That's the first way to you sort of earn that respect. And number two is really focus on the fundamentals of the game. So regardless of whatever army you play, you understand the command phase, the movement phase, psychic charge, combat, absolutely everything. Become a master of those phases of the game rather than trying to master, lots of different armies necessarily at that time because it's the most broken or efficient thing. Because when you master the core rules, you'll fall in love with a faction. And when you stick with that faction, you'll be able to set some goals. And I think goal setting is something that people do not do. I had one of my students reach out to me yesterday and said, Steve, I'm just in a bit of a bad place with the game at the moment. I said, cool, talk to me. And I said, what is it that, in particular you're upset by? And he says, I just feel like I just have to keep up with the meta, as it were. And I said, but why? What's your goals? And he hadn't really set any. He said, I want to win, or I want to do better than my last event where I went X in whatever it was in terms of his win rate. I said, so it's purely performance based? He went, yeah. I said, well, okay, we need to look beyond that. That's not going to help you. If you look for just performance in terms of win and loss ratios, you're never going to improve. The reason for that is because when you actually get to the table, you need a parameter that remains the same. So stick with an army. That's a parameter that remains the same.
Mm-hmm.
Set goals that might be, I want to finish in the top 10 of the UK for my faction. That means no matter how badly your army is doing, all the other people striving for that same goal, you're competing against. It puts you on a fair level playing field. So if you're playing, I don't know, Chaos Demons, and you want to become, a top Chaos Demon player, you need to be able to adapt to the meta as it changes. So when your codex is great, or when it's maybe, lacking a little bit, or, it's just had a buff from, I don't know.
It's like a psychic awakening or an army of renown or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Or maybe, Grey Knights have just had a boost and all of a sudden you've become a little bit weaker. How you adapt to those changes is really important because it's your adaptation ability compared to the other players playing Chaos Demon's ability to adapt and change. And that's a much better mindset to be in. Also, when you actually look at your game stats, look at your points scored rather than your win rates. Because, I when I first start working with people, I just say, right, let's try and score 40 points in a game. And they come back to me, Steve, I scored 40 points. That is a positive rather than, I just lost 95 to 41. Cool. It was your first ever game in a tournament, scoring 40 points. Let's be proud of that, because next game we'll try and score 45. Then we'll score 50. Then we'll score 55. When I go to the gym, just because the guy next to me can squat, 180 kilos, I didn't go in straight away and try and squat 180 kilos to be the biggest guy in the gym. No, I had to work my way up. I had to start on the bar and I had to go, you guys work in pounds, right? So I went from, I suppose, like £40 or £44 bar to then, £100 and then, 120, 140, you work your way up until you get those big numbers. You need to give yourself time. And I think a lot of people come into the game thinking, right, I've bought an army, I go to a tournament, I should win. No, that's like a real entitlement attitude to have. It's not good. You go to your first tournament, you deserve to lose every game. But the most important thing is make a friend, and then we're on the road to success, right? Have some fun.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I can't agree with you more about just learning the core rules, man. Like, just learning the base rules of 40K will take you so far. It doesn't matter if you're playing Astra Militarum. It doesn't matter if you're playing the worst faction in the world. As long as you are able to know the core rules, you will pull out so many tricks in the game that your opponent can just be like, oh, I didn't even think about that. That's so smart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think just to give an example of that, in November, I went to a super major here in the UK and I took Blood Angels. And that was when like Hiveguard spam was the thing. We had the Thick City going around. And anyway, I took Blood Angels. I had 15 firstborn assault marines in my list, and people were like, "What are you doing, Steve? Your list is trash." Anyway, game 4, we play five round events here.
Mhm.
Game 4, I'm on table 1, and I've got 15 assault marines, and I'm playing against Drakari when they were, pretty spicy, and I lost by 3 points. 3 points I lost that game, boy, because I couldn't get my last Knackman in. We had a great game, me and
Mhm.
Boris, who's a LVO top 8 finisher, and he came on to do second in the event. But yeah, people were loving it because I had like a real I had assault marines.
Yeah.
Some people didn't even know what they were, and I was pulling off. I was playing against Admech Rust Stalkers, and I was wrapping them and basing them, and
Yep.
he was like, "Oh, I'm going to make you fight last." I was like, "Cool, you can make my assault marines fight last, but because I've got a unit outside of half an inch, that's not within half an inch, you can only put one model on that unit, and I'm going to self-sacrifice this model, so you have to put all your attacks on
Mhm.
here, so your fight last is neutralized." So although I don't have a cool fight last trick, I've got tools because I know the core rules of the game. And yeah, it's great to see sort of that level and do so well with Blood Angels, which were not a great tier faction in November.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's awesome to be able to do that.
Yeah, yeah, no, definitely. Like, when I first started playing 40K, I started off with Tyranids. It was like towards the end of 8th edition, right?
Yeah.
And then we go into 9th edition, and Tyranids, they're like okay, like they're like a C tier army, whatever. But as 9th edition kept going and going, all of my friends started getting new codexes, right? Like Death Guard, Drukhari, Admech, Sisters, all these like crazy things. And here I am before Leviathan, before Crusher, facing against these armies and just being like, okay, what do I do? Like, what can I, so I start like pulling out models and like trying to figure out different ways to like run it. I'm joining discords. I'm like, how do you beat this? Like, how are you doing it with this army and blah, blah, blah. And like, that goes so much further than just saying, this army's dead to me now. I'm going to move on to the next one. It just, your knowledge of the game just like expands. You become like such a big brained, like 3D chess player, off of just like playing an army that's not good, and like that's such a benefit to people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't learn anything by buying 9 Void Weavers, putting them on
Mm-hmm.
the table and shooting your opponent off. It's just, you don't learn anything. It's
Yeah.
terrible.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not a good way to do it. I
No.
definitely agree with that. Awesome. All right, so that's going to be it for this episode. Thank you for joining me. Where can everybody find you? Can you plug yourself and all of your social medias and everything like that?
Yep. So we stream every Wednesday at 7 o'clock British summertime or Greenwich Mean Time, depending on what time zone we're in. But yeah, 7 p.m. British summertime. We stream every single week. We have a sort of blend of educational and entertaining battle reports that we do. We have loads of coaching moments in the game. We stop it and say, hey, here's what's going on. Here's the situation. This is what you could have done differently. So yeah, that's the best place to find us is on YouTube. I've also got a podcast called the Competitive 40K Podcast, where we do codex deep dives. We analyze the game. We do, like, for example, the review of the recent
The data
balance
slate.
update.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I suppose my thoughts is as a playtester for Games Workshop, kind of what I think about the game and stuff. So yeah, we kind of do that. But yeah, and obviously Instagram, Facebook at the Vanguard Tactics. I couldn't unfortunately get Vanguard Tactics. It was already taken, so I had to put the to make it the official one.
Yeah.
Obviously.
I feel that on
Um,
another level. I understand that completely. Yeah.
So yeah, so you can find us there. And if you want to improve, then if you're a complete beginner to the game, head over to our website, Vanguard Tactics, and we have our basic training course, which you can get on the waiting list for the next enrollment of that 7-day challenge. And then if you want to join the academy, if you're thinking about doing that, then again, enrollment will be probably around July, I think, will be the next enrollment for that 16-week academy course. So yeah, you can get on the waiting list to do that as well for our website.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. If you guys liked this episode, make sure you guys leave a thumbs up. Make sure that you guys press the subscribe button, all that good stuff. And we'll see you guys in the next episode. Goodbye, everybody.